Our social media has become the most basic method of navigating through life, be it on a personal, professional, networking or romantic. Social media has become the ultimate way to keep the human race connected. Among those connections are some that result in very complicated situations, some life-altering, some even deadly. Well, in her latest novel, author Fiona Snyckers has crafted the story of a young woman who is caught between the dream of becoming a writer, which is well within her reach, and evading a stalker, and both are due to her active life on social media. Now, to tell us more, she is here, the author herself. Fiona, good morning. Welcome to Morning Live.
Good morning, Lebo.
Let's talk about what compelled you to write this book.
Well, I'm very interested in how social media is changing our world, and particularly in how we are having to redraw the parameters of privacy. People are living their life in a much more public way than ever before. We're putting ourselves out there on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and most of the time we believe it's fine because everybody's doing it, so why not do it ourselves? So I was interested in a situation where suddenly it's not fine, where somebody takes an unhealthy interest in a young woman. How does she respond? How does she meet this challenge that has arisen in her life?
Tell us more about this young lady, Jamie, and why she finds herself in this kind of dilemma.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, she is an aspiring writer. She's trying to raise her profile. She's a blogger and she's using social media to publicize herself. And when she discovers that someone is stalking her on social media and then in real life as well, she's caught in a dilemma of whether she should pull back from social media and make herself more private, or respond by saying, this isn't my fault, I haven't done anything wrong, I'm not going to change my behavior. The stalker is the person who's at fault here, not me. He's the one who has to change his behavior.
How do you then balance, the story and the updates, because this is how we live. This is our days. Like, I can't sit here and not log on to Facebook or Twitter because it just doesn't feel right.
Yes, I think that for people like us who are involved in social media, it becomes very central to your life. I tweeted before I came on the show, and I'll probably put a Facebook update afterwards. So it does become very absorbing, and it's very difficult to cut yourself off from that.
Is this book based on someone's truth or your own imagination?
I think it's based basically on both. I am a writer. I'm not an unpublished writer like Jamie, but I am a writer, and I know the pressure that publishers put on you to publicize yourself on social media. You can't be a retiring, shrinking violet. You have to put yourself out there. And I'm very interested in the ways in which that can have consequences for people and their private lives.
What do you want your readers to take away from this book?
Basically, I would like people to think about whose fault it really is if there are consequences to participating in social media. At the moment, we as a society tend to blame the victim, especially women who put themselves out there. We tend to put the blame on them if anything happens. We say, oh, well, you shouldn't have taken those photographs of yourself. You shouldn't have revealed so much about yourself. And to me, that's a form of victim blaming. It's like saying when women get raped, well, you shouldn't have worn that miniskirt. You shouldn't have revealed so much about yourself. And I'd like people to think about whose fault is it really, because our social reality has changed, and the people who need to modify their behavior are the people who are taking advantage of women, not the women themselves.
How easy or difficult was it to come up with the title of the book?
It was actually very easy, because when you're on Twitter, every time you get a new follower, and followers are what you want on Twitter, you get a notification email saying so-and-so is now following you. And most of the time you go, yay, I've got a new follower, my follower count has gone up. But if you think about it, that concept of someone following you can also have a dark side to it. So that's why I thought it was a perfect title for the novel.
And what's been the best compliment you've received about the book so far?
I think when people get it, when they get what I'm trying to make them think about, and I don't sort of have to explain it to them, when they just get it and they understand it, then I feel as though I've really hit home.
All right, Fiona, thank you so much. I promise I won't follow you. I won't. Author Fiona Snyckers speaking to us about her latest book that looks at the life of digital native Jamie Burchell, who has come close enough to her dream, but even closer to the risk of being violated by a stalker due to her tech-savvy and social media-hooked personality. The book is titled Now Following You. All right, let's take a break. Stay with us.